I checked myself into the rehab center. The reason is not what you think. 6 weeks ago, I checked myself into a rehab center, surrounded by people who all claim to have gone through the same torturous experience as me. But none of them know what I have been through. I'm not trying to take away their experiences, they've all suffered the same way I did. But that final night, the same night I decided to empty my body of its toxins and become the father that she deserved. I listened to the stories, feeling we all read from the same script. They were homeless, a family member died, manipulated into it. 90% of what I say is accurate, but the final 10%. The reason I check myself into this place in the first place. I lie and read the same script everyone else does, but I hide my script behind false lines and lies. The final night was 6 weeks ago. I slowly opened my tired eyes. My alcohol-induced blurred vision blocked my eyesight and stabbed my brain with a constant throbbing pain. I was lying across the sofa in a tainted living room. Everything is decaying from lack of cleaning and slowly being covered in dust, apart from the alcohol cabinet that didn't have a single speck. I could smell the whiskey oozing from my breath as I breathed deeply while watching some shitty TV. I tried to fall back asleep again, having slept another day on a stained sofa smeared with the constant stains of spilt drinks and vomit that reek I could no longer smell. Still, just before I whisked myself away into a drunken sleep, I heard soft, careful footsteps above me. "I hear you up there, what the hell do you think you're doing?" I growled, anger rising in my nauseating body. The world acted like a merry-go-round, constantly spinning round and round in a spiral of throbbing headaches and sickening stomach pain. I forced my way up the unstable stairs. I saw my little girl come from her room. She was no older than 8 and heir to the alcohol that she would never see a drop of. I cried out angrily, a slurred wrath coming out of my mouth and filling the air. She was crying, her face twisted in fear as she looked upon the one who used to be her father. "How many times do I have to tell you?" She runs back into her room as I chase behind her. I scream for her to open her door as I bang and slam into it, nearly breaking the hinges off entirely. I'm glad they never did. I don't know what I would have done if she opened the door. Looking back on myself sickens me the way I was just a few weeks back. How I would act that night, and how I lost my daughter that day. I remember looking into the room she just came from. It was full of cobwebs and dust and had remained untouched for a year of nothing but the constant suffering and anguish that I caused us both. I stared into the dark room and upon the shrine of my wife. Pictures of us as a family, back when we were happy. Just above the urn is a printed picture of us at the beach, smiling. My wife lying down on a towel sunbathing while my head stuck out of the sand after my daughter buried me. Negative emotion swelled inside me like cancer. I pushed it deep into a vault that no one could ever open, forcing myself to feel nothing but an emotionless void. Looking straight down to the floor and ignoring the rest of the room, I hurriedly dragged myself away from the abyss and closed the door behind me. Slowly climbing into bed, I finished off the old glass of whiskey that's been on my bedside table all day and forced myself away from this never-ending hell. I dreamt of a beautiful woman who fills my dreams but leaves when my eyes open. I dream of our memories together, but something was missing, something important that I couldn't put my finger on. It is still dark outside when reality forces me back to its world of pain and suffering. Groaning in annoyance, I closed my eyes but couldn't slip back into the sweet relief of nothing. I sighed and pushed my way from my covers, shivering as the cold air hits my pale skin. Grabbing a nearly empty packet of ibuprofen and dry swallowing both. The headache is my punishment, my sentence, but that doesn't mean I can't relieve it a bit. I looked around the room, dead memories surrounding me and shadows of the distance past in the dark, constantly tormenting me. I picked up the glass and tried to drink more but found it empty. Slowly shuffling my way to the light switch, I flicked it on, hoping for light, but stayed in darkness instead. I flicked it again and again, but no light ever came. Just like my life, I thought. I suddenly remembered what I had done that night. I could still feel the pain in my hand as I banged on the only door in the house that could help me. I made my way towards my daughter's room, vision still spinning like I was on a never-ending roller coaster, forever looping around over and over until I ended up dead. I made my way forward, taking one step at a time, using the wall for support. Eventually, I made it to my daughter's room. I softly knocked on the door, making a little tune to prove I was not drunk. I got no response, but I could hear slight crying on the other side of the door. I apologized like I did most nights, promising I would never drink again, yet already missing the guilt-free sensation it brings me. I lean against the door, breathing heavily and apologizing repeatedly until my throat gets clogged. I listen silently, listening to my child quietly crying. However, as I listen, I hear something else on the other side of the door. I push my ear into the door and silently listen to the whispering. I couldn't quite make out what he was saying. I concentrated hard, focusing all my power on the whispering until a bang knocked on the door. It caused me to fall backwards, smacking my head against the wall behind me. I cried for her name and heaved myself up, trying to open the door. She was wailing harrowing screams at an unknown shadow. I could hear banging as items smashed against the door and walls and the man shouting incoherently. I kept begging someone to open the door, but some invisible source kept me from my daughter. Eventually, the door gave out, and I practically knocked it off its hinges. However, even though I could still hear my daughter wailing echoing in my ears, the room was empty. Bits of drawings, pictures, and furniture were dismantled and thrown throughout the room. Right in front of me, shattered pieces of memories destroyed on the ground. I cried out as I collapsed on the floor. I lay there, head throbbing, tears blinding, stomach aching as I retched, burning my throat. I crawled out of the room, screaming my daughter's name. The floor felt unstable and constantly shook under me. I used the wall for balance, leaning against it and forcing myself onto my feet. A static sound radiates throughout the house. The TV in the desolate living room echoes a constant white noise. I dragged myself, constantly feeling weaker and weaker. I got closer and closer, reaching out my hand towards the living room. The door suddenly slammed shut, blocking me from the room I'd spent so many years in. With my last bit of energy, I rushed towards the bright white door and slammed into it. The door opened easily, and I dropped into a dark black room. A single light bulb hanging eerily in front of me. I sheltered my eyes from the bright light, and seemingly knowing my pain, it lowered its brightness. Below the light was the static TV, still producing the noise that radiated my house. I turned to look back into the corridor I had just come from to see nothing. The door had gone, just a black void and unseeable horrors that lurked in the dark. I inched closer to the pixelated screen. Static blaring out of the speakers, getting louder as if the volume got stuck. Through the static, I could hear a slight whispering. Getting closer to the TV, leaning my ear against the cold glass screen, I concentrated as hard as I could, focusing all my effort on listening to the whispers. A hand suddenly whacks itself against the screen. The loud bang shocked me, and I jumped backwards onto my back and crawled away, still staring at the screen. My daughter's distorted wail screeches out of the speakers. A second hand appears on the screen, then another, then another. The entire screen fills with hands banging against it. It starts to crack as multiple screams of children echo throughout the void. Small silhouettes sprint circles around me, all screaming the same harrowing cry that my daughter shrieked. I didn't know what to do. I curled up into a ball and started crying as everything around me was getting louder and louder. The constant screams pierced my ears. I covered my ears using my hands, but I could still hear everything like it was coming straight from my mind. Just as I thought I would never leave, the screaming stops. Everything goes silent, so suddenly I thought I died. I opened my eyes for the first time in a long time, no longer with a headache or spinning. In front of me was a small wooden table with a bottle of whiskey and a glass next to it. The whiskey has already been opened and poured into the glass. My heart started beating faster, my throat felt dry, and I pathetically began crawling towards the poison. I wanted the venom to ooze through my veins and feel it drip down my throat. I picked up the glass and placed it against my dry, cracked lips. I could feel the whiskey touch my lips, open them a tiny bit, and I could get away from this hell. I never opened them. The liquid splashed against my lips, and I could only think of my daughter. Her laugh and smile and the wail that I caused her. What this toxin I kept injecting into my body, saying it's medicine, causing her to wail that horrific sound? I slowly lowered the glass. My hand was shaking uncontrollably. My body was begging me to take a single sip. I heard the static behind me. I could hear my daughter crying for me. I swung around, calling for her. All around me were the silhouettes that had gotten closer and closer, reaching out to touch me. I swung the bottle around, trying to hit them away. Swinging, bashing, hitting anything that moved. I could hear my daughter calling for me. Through the barrage of dead men, I forced my way through. Hands pulled me down, trying to get me away from my daughter, but I kept fighting. I hit anything that moved with the indestructible bottle, pushing my way forward towards an almost impossible goal. I finally reached the TV. My daughter's hands broke the screen, but it wasn't enough. Only cracks came through. Without even thinking about it, I swung my arm around, smashing the bottle and the TV. Instantly, everything returned to where it was. The puke-stained carpet, and the sun blinded me through the windows as it approached the horizon. I stood in my living room. The TV was fine, the bottle still in my hand, and a feeling that someone's eyes were on me. I looked around the room to see my daughter hiding behind the doorway, watching me with fear in her eyes. I went to hug her, but then she flinched. I felt a stab of pain in my heart, but I knew what she was frightened of. I slowly made my way to the window, ensuring my daughter watched me the whole time. When I opened the bottle, she moaned, "No," but I told her it was okay. I held the bottle out the window, turned it upside down and poured all its contents onto the floor. I did the same with all the bottles until only one was left. She came out of her hiding spot, cautiously moving towards me. I gave her some space but left the final bottle on the window ledge open. She picked it up and poured it out herself. Me and my daughter went around the house, grabbing any alcohol left in half-drunk bottles and hidden areas. It was the first time I've seen her smile in a long time. That same day, we cleared the forbidden room, moving the shrine into the living room and scattering the photos throughout the house. I would be lying if I still didn't feel pain every time I saw a photo, but that's something that one day I will get used to. It's a playroom now, a place to relax and play together. However, we can't use it just yet. There is something I must do first. I dropped her off at her grandma's and checked myself into rehab. No one will ever know the truth of how I'm here, but it's not the journey but the ending that makes it worth it.